What if I told you that there exists a book, hidden in plain sight, rumored to hold the very blueprint of immortality? Not just the preservation of the body, but something far deeper, the eternal awakening of consciousness itself. A manuscript whispered about in secret societies, protected by mystics and dismissed by skeptics for centuries. A book that, once truly understood, doesn't just inform, it transforms. This isn't science fiction. It's not fantasy. It's a secret that has echoed through the corridors of ancient temples, encrypted in arcane symbols, and encoded within sacred texts known only to the initiated. The story you are about to hear is not just about a book. It's about a path, a forbidden path, that has been walked by sages, alchemists, and seekers of truth since the dawn of civilization. Across cultures, the quest for immortality has persisted like a flame that refuses to die. From the Taoist monks of China who spoke of cultivating the immortal embryo, to the Egyptian priesthood who believed in the Ba and Ka, to the yogic traditions of India that mapped subtle bodies and energy centers, each of them pointed to a deeper truth, that immortality is not merely about defying death, but about transcending illusion. But there is one text, one mysterious volume, that threads these teachings together, a book shrouded in legend, said to be gifted to humanity by beings not entirely of this world. It is not always written in words, but in symbols, vibrations. I invite you to explore further. Some say it was known to Pythagoras and share this message. Others claim it was guarded in the vaults beneath Atlantis may have fallen, Alexandria, but its spirit is rising again. It still exists today, hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to see. In this video, we will journey into the depths of this mysterious book, its origins, its hidden teachings, and most importantly, the forgotten secrets it reveals about the nature of true immortality. But be warned, once you see, you cannot unsee. This is not just information, it is initiation. Are you ready? To understand the mysterious book that whispers secrets of immortality, we must first travel back, far beyond the familiar pages of modern history. We must enter a world where myth and memory blur, where the truth was preserved not in textbooks, but in temples. Across ancient civilizations, there are consistent threads, a sacred longing to pierce the veil of death. The ancient Egyptians, for example, viewed life and death not as opposites, but as a continuum. Their Book of the Dead wasn't a morbid manuscript, it was a manual for the soul, a roadmap through the afterlife. They believed that by aligning with Ma'at, the cosmic principle of truth and order, the soul could attain immortality in the realm beyond. But Egypt was not alone. In the East, Taoist sages spoke of the Book of the Golden Flower, a mysterious alchemical text detailing how one might cultivate the spirit body through meditative techniques. This wasn't metaphor. They meant it, quite literally, as the creation of an incorruptible self, birthed within and beyond the physical shell. Then there's the Hermetica, wisdom attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, the syncretic figure merging the Greek Hermes and Egyptian Thoth. These texts spoke of a divine spark within man, a deathless body, that could be awakened through gnosis, inner knowing. Hermes did not promise eternal life through dogma or ritual, but through revelation. As above, so below. The microcosm and the macrocosm are one. I invite you to explore this further, reflect, ascend beyond decay, and share this message with others. Where did these teachings come from? Atlantis may have civilizations half a world apart, but its spirit is rising again, the same hidden truth. Many esoteric scholars believe these fragments are echoes of an even older source, perhaps Atlantean, Lemurian, or even extraterrestrial. The idea is not as outrageous as it seems. Plato, in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, speaks of Atlantis not as myth, but memory, a high civilization whose knowledge of the soul and the cosmos was unparalleled, until hubris led to its fall. It is within these pre-Diluvian remnants that we find whispers of the book. Not always a literal text, but a codex of consciousness encrypted in sacred geometry, embedded in architecture, and mirrored in myth. Sometimes it appeared as a scroll, sometimes as a dream. Always, it was only revealed to the worthy. And herein lies the philosophical riddle. Why is such knowledge hidden? Perhaps it is because immortality, true immortality, is not a commodity. It is not given. It must be remembered. The soul, according to the ancients, is already immortal. But consciousness of that immortality is what has been lost. The book, then, is a mirror. It does not grant immortality, it reveals it. Modern man, caught in the illusion of material permanence, has forgotten this. We seek longevity through technology, through pharmaceuticals, through cryogenic vaults. But the ancients pointed inward. They whispered, as within, so without. The book, the teachings, the symbols, they were never meant to be easy to find. Because what is easily acquired is easily forgotten. Instead, this knowledge was encoded into sacred texts, veiled in myth, and hidden within mystery schools. Not to be hoarded, but to be protected, until the seeker is ready. And if you are watching this now, perhaps you are. So what exactly is this mysterious book, and more importantly, how does it reveal the secrets of immortality? To begin with, we must strip away our conventional understanding of books as merely pages bound by leather or parchment. The true Book of Immortality is far more elusive. In many traditions, it is not even a book in the physical sense, it is a living text. A multidimensional manuscript written in the language of symbols, frequencies, and archetypes. Some call it the Emerald Tablet. Others refer to it as the Secret Doctrine. Still others see it as the Akashic Records, an etheric library encoded into the very fabric of the universe. But regardless of its form, the book reveals one central truth, that immortality is not about preserving the flesh, it is about remembering the spirit. Let's begin with one of the most intriguing manifestations of this book, the legendary Emerald Tablet of Thoth. According to Hermetic lore, this tablet contains the distilled essence of all spiritual wisdom, engraved in a green stone by the ancient sage Hermes Trismegistus. The tablet is brief, yet dense, its cryptic verses hinting at transmutation, ascension, and the mastery of life and death. The phrase, "that which is below corresponds to that which is above," is one of its most famous axioms. But few realize this isn't just poetic mysticism, it's a blueprint for the soul's journey. The alchemist, the mystic, the initiate, they all understood that to master the lower nature, our desires, fears, further, and ego, reflect deeper, one must first awaken share this message with others who are ready. The immortal aspect that exists. Atlantis may have fallen, but Eastern spirit is rising again. Similar concepts emerge through different languages. The Taoist golden flower speaks of circulating the internal light until it births an incorruptible spirit. The yogis of India spoke of activating the Kundalini, the serpent energy that, once awakened, travels up the spine through 7 gates, each one a doorway to a new level of consciousness. When this energy pierces the crown chakra, it is said to liberate the soul from the cycle of death and rebirth. Not metaphorically, but actually. And then there is the Book of Enoch, an ancient Jewish text that describes the secrets of the heavens, the nature of angels, and the knowledge given to man before the great flood. Enoch was said to have walked with God, and was taken, body and soul, into the higher realms. He did not die. He transcended. These texts, scattered across continents and millennia, all hint at the same hidden architecture. They describe a process, not a promise. A path, not a product. And central to this path is transmutation, the art of turning the mortal into the immortal, the lead of ignorance into the gold of gnosis. So why has this knowledge been suppressed? Why is it wrapped in riddles and buried beneath layers of metaphor? Because the secret is too powerful. If the masses were to awaken to their divine nature, to realize that they are not slaves to fate nor victims of death, it would collapse the foundations of control. The mystics of old knew this. That's why they spoke in code. That's why the book is hidden in plain sight. But it's not hidden from you. It's hidden for you. Only when the seeker is truly ready does the book begin to reveal itself. Sometimes through dreams, sometimes through synchronicities, sometimes through moments of unbearable silence that somehow echo with eternal truth. This is the beginning of the alchemical journey, the great work. And here lies the paradox. The Book of Immortality cannot be read. It must be lived. If the mysterious Book of Immortality cannot be read, but must be lived, then what does it truly mean to live it? To answer this, we must go deeper, beyond metaphors, beyond history, into the living current that pulses beneath all esoteric traditions. At the heart of this book lies a hidden principle. Immortality is not an escape from death, it is the conscious integration of it. This truth is echoed in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which is not a book about dying, but a sacred guide to living eternally. The ancient Egyptians believed the soul passed through a series of initiations after physical death, tests, gates, guardians, and judgments. But what most don't realize is that these were symbolic reflections of the initiations one must undergo in life. To truly read the Book of Immortality is to undergo the death of the false self, the ego, the mask, the constructed identity, and to be reborn into remembrance of your original nature. Mystics called this dying before you die. In Tibetan Buddhism, it is known as phawa, the transference of consciousness. Initiates practice separating their awareness from the body, learning to navigate the bardo, the in-between realm, with clarity and sovereignty. In Christianity, Christ's resurrection was never meant to be a one-time miracle, but a symbolic map, descent, death, and divine rebirth. Across all traditions, this pattern repeats. The hero enters the underworld, faces the shadow, and returns with a new light. This is not mythology. I invite you to explore spiritual physics, reflect deeper, and here lies one of the share this message with others who are ready to remember. Immortality is encoded within your consciousness, but its spirit is rising again through you. This activation comes not through belief, but through gnosis, direct knowledge, the kind of knowing that transcends intellect, a knowing that shakes the soul awake. One of the lesser-known esoteric texts, the Pistis Sophia, speaks of the soul as a divine spark trapped in layers of forgetfulness. Each veil must be pierced by light, one by one, until the soul remembers its true origin. It is not about becoming immortal. It is about realizing that you always were. But this realization comes at a cost. It demands the surrender of everything that is not eternal, fear, attachment, and the illusion of separateness. This is why few complete the journey. Not because it is hidden, but because it is uncomfortable. Because it threatens the ego's rule, and the ego, like any tyrant, will fight to stay in power. This is also why the book has been encoded in symbols, rituals, and paradoxes. Because only the earnest seeker will endure the fire of initiation. Only the sincere soul will stay with the mystery long enough for it to unfold. But once it does, everything changes. You begin to see time not as a linear march, but as a spiral, where past, present, and future converge into one eternal moment. You start to feel the presence of the other self, the timeless you that watches, that guides, that remembers. You begin to live less from survival and more from essence. And slowly you understand, immortality is not about living forever in the physical. It is about awakening the immortal within you while still in the flesh. This is what the book reveals to those ready to see. You are the vessel. You are the scroll. You are the living library of eternity. And perhaps the most dangerous secret of all, the one guarded by initiates and obscured by dogma, is this. The divine spark in you is the same fire that fuels the stars. And when you remember that, death becomes not an end, but a doorway you can walk through consciously, again and again, until you no longer fear the passage, because you are the light that guides the way. So how does one begin to live the teachings of this mysterious book? How can we take the grand and mystical concept of immortality and bring it into something real, something lived and embodied? The paradox is this: immortality cannot be chased. It must be remembered. It begins not with external searching, but with turning inward, into the stillness that lies beneath the noise of the world. Each day, one must practice entering the silence beyond thought, the pause between breaths, the still center within the storm. It is in this silence that the eternal self first begins to stir. Over time, this space becomes a sanctuary, a place where the timeless you starts to whisper through the veil of the mind. One of the most powerful ways to awaken this remembrance is to meditate on death, not with fear, but with curiosity. Contemplating the inevitability of our physical end strips away the illusions we cling to. Imagine for a moment that today were your last. What would truly matter? What would endure? In facing death consciously, we discover the spark within that does not die. The ancient Stoics called it memento mori, remember you must die, not as a warning, but as a call to live fully and awake. Another ancient practice is the ritual of the self's return. In a darkened room, light a single candle and gaze into its flame. Let it represent the soul, pure, undying, eternal. Speak aloud, not as a performance, but as a remembrance. I am not the body. I invite you to explore further. I am the presence behind the flame, and share this message with others who are until the words become truth. Atlantis may have fallen. This small act is rising a bridge between form and the formless, a reminder that you are more than the vessel you inhabit. Equally powerful is the practice of writing from the eternal self. Set aside time each day to journal, not from the ego, but from the deeper self that watches behind the scenes. Ask, what does my higher self know today? And let the pen move freely. In time, the voice that emerges will surprise you with its clarity and wisdom. It is the language of the soul, speaking through the cracks in your ordinary awareness. Symbols, too, have a role to play. The ancients never designed symbols for decoration. They created them as living archetypes. The Ouroboros, the phoenix, the ankh, these are not just relics of forgotten cultures. They are mirrors, portals, and keys. The ankh, for instance, known as the key of life in ancient Egypt, reveals the union of opposites, life and death, heaven and earth, mortal and divine. Meditating on such symbols connects you to layers of consciousness that defy linear understanding. But all of this inner work requires a vessel capable of holding it. That vessel is your body. And so purification is not just about health, it is spiritual alignment. Fasting, grounding, drinking clean water, moving with intention, these are not trends, they are ancient technologies to tune your body to the frequency of your soul. A clear body allows energy to flow, and where energy flows, the timeless reveals itself. Finally, immortality is not found in isolation, it is realized in communion. To serve something greater than oneself, to act from a place of soul rather than self, is to step into the eternal. Whether through acts of kindness, creativity, teaching, or healing, when you live to awaken others, you step out of time. You become part of something enduring, something that cannot die. These are not mere practices. They are portals. Each time you enter them, you peel back another layer of the hidden book. Eventually, you realize something extraordinary. Your life itself has become the scroll. And you are not merely reading the mystery, you are writing it. So what, then, is the final message hidden within this ancient and mysterious book? It is this: you are not a seeker of immortality, you are its embodiment. The very longing that led you here is the echo of a deeper truth trying to remember itself through you. You are not reading these secrets by chance. You are reawakening to them. The soul does not chase eternity, it remembers it, piece by piece, through every moment lived with presence, every breath taken in reverence, every act aligned with truth. This book, whether found in a dusty library or revealed in meditation, is not just written in ink. It is written in the language of dreams, of archetypes, of inner knowing. Its pages are stitched into the fabric of your DNA. Its message is whispered in the space between thoughts, in the silence behind your heartbeat, in the stillness you return to when all else falls away. And as you walk the path laid out before you, not as a blind follower, but as a conscious co-creator, you begin to notice something miraculous. The world around you shifts. Time slows. Synchronicities multiply. You are no longer just alive, you are awake. And in this awakening, you realize that immortality was never about escaping death. It was about remembering the part of you that was never born. Perhaps this is the real secret that the ancient sages protected, not because it was forbidden, but because it could only be understood through experience. Through the fire of practice, through the mirror of contemplation, through the alchemy of a life lived. I invite you to explore further. So now, I leave you with a question and share this message. What would your life look like ready to remember? If you truly remember, Atlantis may have fallen. Let this spirit is rising again through you. Let this be the moment you begin to write your own book of immortality. And if this journey resonated with you, share it. Reflect on it. Let others remember through your awakening. Because when one soul remembers, it lights the path for many. Until next time, Walk gently, speak truth, and never forget the power you hold within.